All right, ladies and gentlemen, traders, welcome back to another Relentless recap. As you're tuning in, hit that thumbs up. If you're a new viewer, consider subscribing to the channel. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about one of the craziest days that I've ever experienced here trading stocks in the market. We're going to talk about how I went from green $3,500 in the first 25-30 minutes of the day to red $1,200. We talk all the time about how day trading is risky, how, as fast as money can be generated, it can be lost. Ladies and gentlemen, if you did not know, allow me to enlighten you. Day trading is risky. It has its risks, it has its pros and cons. And in this field, our main asset is our cash that's in our accounts. And so we're pretty liquid. And, you know, the characteristics and the qualities of a great trader comes down to that mindset, that discipline, and that relentless willingness to manage risk. All right. So keep in mind that day trading is risky. These stocks are pretty volatile. If we lose composure, lose our discipline, we can very easily blow up an entire account. All right. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind when it comes to the market. So, what we recommend to people, hey, if you're new to the community, if you're new to trading, even if you've been around, you're not quite consistent, utilize the simulators. Practice trading the live market with artificial currency, paper trading. Practice, practice. Use small cash until you feel comfortable and confident to size up and take on more risk. And so, after trading for 8 years, well, 8 years, getting ahead of myself, about 5 years, it's still possible for even someone like myself to have a day like this, right? And for those of you who might have missed yesterday or yesterday's recap, I think before we really get into today's trading, it's a little important for us to at least touch back and talk about yesterday's trading. Yesterday, we had a top five stock of the year, in my opinion, in stock POL. And yesterday, I absolutely wet the bed. I made an honest mistake and lost my composure very early on in this move for the break of four. Was not able to trade with a clear head. Was very frustrated throughout this entire move. Did not do a good job. And so I made a vow to myself. I promised myself that in the future, if I'm to ever be in a situation again where I make an honest mistake, even if it's a silly mistake, whatever it might be, things happen, that I'll, keep focus, keep paying attention, and keep watching on for the next best opportunity, for the best setups that I know and love. And so coming back into today, I think us being able to, so despite ending red, we'll talk about why I ended red. Despite us going red, I felt like a big part of this move up here was for us accepting yesterday and moving on, taking the necessary lessons from the day and coming out with a clear mind. Because I could have easily came into the day and we talk about revenge sometimes throughout the videos. Revenge is never the way. We want to move forward with clarity. I think if I came in with some of the issues from yesterday, I maybe would have only gotten myself green 500 and ended the day maybe down 2-3K, right? That's the kind of difference. So, relentless. These are the questions that I'll usually get. Relentless. How did you find the stocks that you traded today? What patterns and setups were you looking to trade? And how were you looking to manage risk on those opportunities, those areas? So first and foremost, guys, I always find the stocks that I'm trading using Momo Pro. All right, this is the scanner that I use. You guys can feel free to check it out if you do want to take a look at it. Momo Pro filters the entire stock market. And I have a filter here that's for, percentage gain, high volume, high float, rather low float, right? Decent relative volume, and so forth. And so you guys will see a list of stocks here, including LTRY, SMFL, MSAI, and so forth as we go down the list. Now, the list might have rearranged from this morning because, as we know, stocks are going up and down, right? Some stocks sold off and so forth. So, We spoke about POL yesterday. We talked about the watch list. Now let's head into today's momentum in. Let's come to positions and let's check out MSAI. MSAI was the main stock today. Now, it wasn't our typical stock because we sold off fairly recently from a high of $31. But as we know, a lot of times you drop a ball from a very high place, it sometimes bounces. And that's exactly what we got out of MSAI. And so Relentless, on the move up, how did you capitalize? How did you get green in the first place? What were you looking for? So just for a bit of context, we went from 245 yesterday in the close to a high point of 840. So this in itself was a crazy move. And this is also why some people prefer not to leave and they prefer to keep trading after 4 p.m. Now the volume is much lighter, but there's still opportunity. This thing went from $2 to 840. And then in pre-market today, we went from a low of $5 up to a high around 860 before it pulled back and then started, going sideways. So coming into the open, we have it on our watch list and we're keeping an eye. And this thing, I believe I saw it out of the first halt up because I was trading stock SMFL, which at the time also gave a nice move. And we're green 1K on this one in this first push. So we'll get to that as well. We'll come back to that. So MULN. These were the patterns that I was looking for. The main pattern was the halt pattern, right? When a stock is halted up, Relentless, what are you? Oh, MULN, jeez. I meant to say MSAI. There we go. That one also had a few halts, so we can talk about that later as well. Relentless, what were you looking for? All right, so the halt pattern, I'm watching for stock to resume higher. So this thing is halted up right now at a high of 661, right? Going back to 9:39 a.m. this morning. It's halted at 661 and it resumes at 750. So whenever a stock is going up too quickly, too fast, it can be halted by the governing body of the market, right? That's kind of the rule that we have here. It's just what it is, right? Even if a stock is going down too fast, too quickly. And the reasoning behind this is like, hey, let's take a break. Let's, kind of get our thoughts together. Let's recognize and do any sort of analysis towards material news and let's make decisions. But during a halt, it's very possible that the stock can resume at a higher price, sometimes even a lower price. But usually when stocks are halted going up, they resume at a higher price, right? And so what this means is that if you're holding shares anywhere from 660 below, this thing resumed at 750. 750, 90 cents higher. Guys, 90 cents alone can be a great day if you capture 90 cents on a day. I usually use 1,000 share blocks. 90 cents on 1,000 shares is $90. Oh, excuse me, $900. 900. So just imagine that in this area from here to here, in this white line alone, I could have essentially made $100. Jeez, $900. What's wrong with me? God goodness. I could have made $900. So when you zoom out and you see the grand scheme of the charting, then you really recognize the awesomeness of possibilities that's here. And it's also why I will ultimately go as far as to say that me ending red on a day like today and yesterday is, well, I guess I didn't end red, but didn't really do as well. It is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And I'll talk about why, right, later into the video. So there's just a ton of opportunities, right? That's the first step towards it. There's just too much opportunities to ever end a day like this in the red. So we resume, and this is where the pattern, getting back into the pattern, coming for full circle here. I want to see the higher resumption, a quick dip, and a rip. And that's exactly what we're going to get right here. Higher resumption, dip, and rip. So we opened at 750. We had a low of 715. So Relentless, why did you take this trade so aggressively? Why were you confident that it wasn't going to drop down? Well, on the resumption, you know, there was not a ton of selling. There was not a lot of selling as we pulled back ever so slightly off of that open price. And it's the smallest subtlety on the time and sales. Noticing that, okay, we came down a little bit, but there's no real selling at or below the bid. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go for it. And I'm going to try to keep my stop as tight as possible. If I'm in at 50 and this thing doesn't want to keep going, I'm going to be back out immediately. So I'm going to show you guys one, to be fair to the students, because, this is what I'm going to call this is what we call an archive, right? Is the live recording, pause. This is the live recording from my trading today. And only the students have access to this. So to be fair to the students, I can't show this entire video, but I'll show the first big winning trade on the stock, and I'll show one or two of the losing trades on the stock. So this is SMFL. Let's skip ahead. So again, you can see I'm watching at this one as the other one is halted. And okay, so here comes the resumption. All right, so we got about 10 seconds. So again, I want to see it open higher, dip, and then rip. Or we can say, how do I want to describe it? We open up higher. Even if it goes up first, I want to see a dip and then a rip again. Or if it opens up sideways, if it dips, I want to catch the rip, right? Watching the dip to catch the rip. So here we go. From 660, we're now at 750, and I'm watching. Uh-oh. Okay, there we go. I'll let it play, and then I'll rewind and pause. Why is it freezing? This was not, I don't think this is happening. Oh, don't tell me. It's the recording, the recording seems like it's messed up. Oh, come on. Brother, brother. I cleared up a ton of space just now, so I'm wondering if this had something to do with the recording. This has happened to the recording before, but I'm not sure why. This is weird because we watched it. Actually, no, we watched it back. Hold on. We watched the recording back already. This didn't happen. 12. Why is there two? Did I duplicate it by accident? Maybe I did. It seems like I have two recordings for this day. Anyhow, I think this is the right one. So let's see. I think this one is working well. Okay, here we go. Resumption coming up. There's 50. It comes down to about 25, 30. Well, I mentioned I wasn't gonna put so I'm in, and there's the move all the way to $9. Now I will say that I might have sold it a little sooner, but I did have the order entry window open. Not the order entry, like a pop-up window came up, and I had to take a quick half second to get rid of that and then to exit the trade. So that's the first trade of the stock, right? Again, it doesn't really dip too much. There's not too much selling. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go for it. But again, the risk, what is the risk? In terms of a good, me getting out safely, and then the worst case scenario. Me getting out safely, it's me buying here, because I'm gonna put out the order right here in this moment at 50. There's the order, it's going out live to buy at 750, between 750 and 743. If I buy at 750 and the stock immediately rejects, there's a chance I can be in at 50 and selling at $7 for 50-cent loss, which is about 700 bucks. That is the risk I'm taking on in this particular trade. It is, to the worst side of it, significant. Now, if I get, fortunate, maybe the stock doesn't drop, but it also doesn't go, I get out in this range, maybe I lose 10 cents, maybe it's a scratch trade. So I'm in, and notice how long it takes for me to get filled here. It's going up, I'm not getting in, it's not giving me an entry for all that time up until 70. Then I'm gonna get an entry at 73. This is robbery here. I should have gotten filled earlier. It's like it skipped over all those price points and then I get a fill. But you know what's good is that the stock is continuing to move. So I'm getting filled shares filled even all the way up at 80 as the order's going through. But it's so strong it pushes all the way to 9. So this is how we start the day, and we're selling right there into the halt up, which is an absolute insane trade. The only difference, I wish I took it on 2500 size. I would have been up 2500 in that trade, but even with 2500 shares to the downside, if it was to be a losing trade, we could have lost like 1400, right? Maybe 1200, somewhere there. So that was the first winning trade, and that's the halt pattern that I look for. So at this point, we were green on SMFL, and that one, was a bit more of a grinding move up for me. I wasn't quite super green early, and it was a bit of a back and forth of making, losing, and then boom, we got ourselves up to 1K. So at that point, I'm up 2300 on the day, and it's looking like a very solid day. So let's go skip ahead now and take a look at some of these losing trades that we had on this stock. And this one here, guys, it's going to be super brutal. So we're halted up again. And I'm like, I'm feeling good about the day. I'm confident. I like where we are. So instead of using 2,500 shares, I'm going to use 1,800 shares because I want to be aggressive. Things are working. Everything is going well. Look at how brutal this particular trade is. And this is where we kind of started to give back some gains on the day. So here comes the resumption. We're halted at 1029. Watch it, how crazy this is going to be. And we're going to talk also about how it can be avoided, what we can adjust. So here we go. We resume around 1150, right? And, well, actually, the resumption is at 1080, and it's pushing higher. So right here, we push from 1080 to 1150, and I want to see the pullback. So right here, we're seeing 65 by 11, which is a decent spread. 65 by 11.17 is about a 40-cent spread, right? So I'm watching, and there's 60 again. But look at where the ask price is. We have 1060 by 1154. And this is going to be the thing that I overlook in this area here. I glanced at the ask and saw that the ask was a little lower, and now I felt it safe to take the trade without realizing the ask price has moved back up. And so what I needed to do here was to put out an order on the bid. If I put out an order on the bid, this would be a magnificent trade because more than likely I get the fill because people are selling at the bid, right? So I'm going to mark it in instead. And you know what that means. I'm going to be in at 1154. In fact, I get the fill at 1170, above the level of 54. So instantly I'm down 2K. I'm down $1 share right now. And in the moment, it's so crazy because it's so fast. In the moment, I didn't even realize that I was in this high. I thought I got in somewhere between 1060 and 11. And so I'm like, okay, let's give this thing a chance to get back over 11. And right here, my eyes is peeled on the ask price. And I'm like, yes, okay, sweet move back to 1130. If I'm in between 1060 and 11, like I think I was, and the bid price, I'm assuming, is moving higher right here, which it really wasn't. It only went up 20 cents. I'm getting out for a decent small gain. And I would have wanted to see something more. But I'm out, and we can see, this would have been a much better place. Well, maybe not, but, in terms of the spreads at least being tighter, this was much better here. When I'm out, and I ended up taking a huge loss, not even noticing. I thought at worst a scratch trade right there, but that was a brutal loss. So I buy back, being that we held up 50 right there, and I'm going to watch for the push back over 11. There's 1120. This is the type of trade that I thought I just took. So I got a good fill 55, but look at how massive the spread is. Now we can go back and check, right? At this point in time, it's 956. and I'm in at 10:55, right? So let's just go and check for the sake of seeing the fill. 9:56 fill today. 9:56. So right here, we're in at 55 right here. So we're in at 55. And again, this is where the spreads are brutal. We're in at 55. You know, you'd think, okay, maybe fill at like 1090, 11. There's no way I'd get that fill. I'm getting the fill on the lowest possible price, which is on the bids at 1080. Below the bids, actually, because the bid is showing 83. The bid is showing 83 and I'm filled at 80 somehow. So I just skip over that order at 83 and lose an extra 3 cents that I should have had. So after this trade is where I looked up and noticed I was up 1600. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, what just happened? I thought this was a massive couple trades. So there's another area I want to skip ahead that I think is pretty important. So we have the pullback. We have the pullback. And then we start to make the move back up. And I think right here, I took my first real poor trade of the day. MSAI, we have a high of 13 and a low of 1060. And that right there is our range as of right now. And in fact, we can probably pull back below 1060 very easily because look at the move up. We went from 5 to 13. If this thing pulls back all the way to nine or $8, that would be reasonable because this move up is just so exaggerated. So right now, there's no real support for a pullback. And I got a little too tunnel visioned, and I'm going to take an entry here very aggressively higher up. And there also happened to be a bit of a bigger seller coming in of 5,000 shares. And this thing is going to absolutely come down in this area here. Watch this. I don't know why I tried it again. I should have not been taking this trade here. So again, this can dip so quickly down to 10 that I should not be really like this is just such a poor trade. I can't understand why I took this trade as I'm watching back at this for the second time. I don't know what I was thinking at this particular point in time. This trade here is not a good trade and should be avoided very easily because I should not be if I take if I take the double bottom type of entry here and it flushes to VWAP, all right, cool. Makes sense, right? Like I'm positioning myself fairly low. I'm not sure what I was like. This is the type of trade I want to go back and give myself two slaps. Like, so this was the first real poor entry of the day. I'm in, and that flushes down. That's about a $800 loss, which should have been avoided. If anything, right in this area here is where I could have started looking for a buy, and we can see right like 1036. This thing started to come down. So this is where you kind of get the double bottom. Okay, it's breaking down 60 by 30 cents, but for a stock like this, 30 cents, it's not that much. You can look for that double bottom kind of entry. So that was a poor trade. And let's skip ahead 30 seconds. Did we curl back up? Yes, we didn't. In fact, look at how well we curled back up, right? So this is nonsense. It's a double negative where we should be buying, we're selling, where we should be having a winning trade, we're having a losing trade. This was my first mistake of the day here. And if I had done a better job analysis wise, we avoid that loss, we buy down low, we ride the wave back up, we probably make 50 to 60 cents out of that dollar and that 50-cent move. Let's say we make 50 cents, 60 cents on the lower side. I'm not even going to estimate it high. But we make another 50, 60 cents right there. We're already at where were we at? 1300, 1200, 1300, 1100. We push ourselves right back up to 2K. So it's like despite that unfortunate fill high, we're still looking pretty good. And it's gonna come to a certain point where I should have sized down and I don't. And so I get caught in another loss somewhere, and that's gonna be the end of it essentially. So we catch a good trade down here. This is another retest of like 1030. But ultimately, let's see. Yeah, this was a decent trade, but then ultimately we get caught into a flush down right here. It was like almost right after that winning trade. I let my guard down a bit, and then I get caught into the flush. So I'm in watching for the, and again, this is what you call sloppy, right? Because I'm watching for a breakout over, this is my second mistake of the day. I'm watching for a breakout over, what's the level here? 91 for the 3 bar play, 1 minute candle to make the new high. I'm in at 50. We get some separation. And right here, I think, ultimately I get a little too much conviction that the breakout is going to come. So we're now 20 cents away from that high, or really 10 cents. Yeah, say 15 cents or so. 10, yeah, 20, 15 cents. We're 15 cents away from that high. I'm a little too comfortable, but what I'm supposed to be doing, because this is a breakout or bailout trade, is I'm supposed to be taking, the moment this stops going higher right here, I should be taking this trade off and be waiting to get back in. So right here, where the volume stalls out and nothing is happening. So again, it's coming down to the fundamentals of the strategy. Like this, the strategy says very clearly, sell immediately in this type of moment when the breakout isn't continuing to push. Instead, I hold it longer, thinking I'm in at 53, we're at 80. If it comes down, I have time to react, cut it flat. That's what I'm thinking here, instead of just taking that $300. Why give away 300? And one of the good things with the strategy and the free commission structure is I can buy back here. I can sell and buy right back if it starts to move again. And it's like the same trade. It's like I'm in on the same entry, right? Instead, I kind of give it time, and it's going to come down so fast. So right here, I'm feeling pretty good. 82, our 82, we're about to push through over 1190, and then I'll watch how fast it's going to come down right here. I should have been out of this thing so long. That is nonsense, ladies and gentlemen. That you do not learn from this immediately, right here, right now. Break out or bail out. What am I doing in that trade? Skylarking, So that was the one mistake. And look at how, and so there's two mistakes, right? And look at how costly. So it's like, okay, we did all that good work getting ourselves up 2.3K. Look at how two mistakes and one high fill has brought us to the depths. Doesn't take much. And so again, going back to that disclaimer earlier, trading is risky. Trading is risky. So like right now, I'm very composed and very calm. I understand what's happened, but it does suck. It's like, oh, come on. We could have, maybe gotten a scratch trade there. But those two losses were brutal losses. That was about, 1K right there. The other one about, 800. The high fill, about another 1K plus. So three losses, three strikes, and I'm out. Boom. Now, Relentless. Okay, we saw how you kind of gave back profits. Let's talk about the other stock too. Let's talk about this other quick flush. SMFL looking decent. Kind of had some choppy trades, but we're watching at this thing, and we're gonna get obliterated. It was doing well too. The stock was doing well, and I started watching for a pullback. We had a few topping wicks. Actually, yeah, we had a few topping wicks, and watch this right here. So, by the way, notice how I had 500 shares in this order entry. I gotta be careful with my order entry windows, man. 2 days in a row where I kind of had issues. I had 500 shares here, but I'm gonna increase it at one point for whatever reason, and I forget that I did that. And when the dip is coming, so I did it somewhere in there. When the dip is coming, my goal was to be in around 285. Now, I didn't know if we would hold very high 80s or low 80s. So I wanted to be in low 90s and also mid 80s. And if my average is high 80s and I stop out at low 80s, not a problem. So I was looking for a cost basis of, let's say 88, 89, let's say 89, and a stop at 81, 80. Hey, if this thing gets below 80 with 1,000 shares, I don't mind losing $90 to give this thing a chance to dip and then curl back up to 3. And that can potentially put me in a good position if the stock is going to curl up higher. So I already made a mistake here by forgetting to put this thing back down to 500. And so I'm going to take my first long right in here. All right, not a bad trade. I get the higher fill. That's okay. That's cool. That's all right. Maybe I could have been a little bit more patient, but we're not going to give ourselves too much of a headache for that. And then right here, we're going to add 85. Okay. I'm thinking I'm in 1,000 shares, average of 90, 89, but I'm in 2,000 shares, which is twice the size. And on top of that, look at how quickly it continues to drop below 80. So by the time I react, it's like, oh man. So this one was kind of like, there's a mistake. So this is my third mistake of the day. I mean, just look at how costly these mistakes are. I mean, if you're watching to this point in the recap, be sure down below to put type blue light glasses, blue light, right? Type blue light down below so I can see who's watching to this point. This is now, what is it, my fourth mistake? Or, well, I think third mistake, because we had the high fill, the 2 areas. Yeah, I think it's my third mistake. I think I would have took the loss anyways, but the loss would have been half if I was in with the size that I thought I was in with. So I could have saved myself $400. So between 3 mistakes and 1 high fill, we lost like 4 grand. Can you imagine? Jeez. And that's when people say there's very thin margins, there's fine lines, it's a tightrope walk, like all the different analogies that you'll hear. If things go slightly different, right? Let's just go back to those 3 scenarios where we have the mistakes. The first one, if we analyze a little bit better that the pullback should come lower, it was so obvious. We're in on that dip, and that thing went up $1.60. Right away, the loss never happens. Plus, there's a huge winner. Similar to the second area, right? I mean, these things, it's so crazy. And then now right here, we save ourselves an extra 400. Just off of those 3 areas alone, we're probably looking at a 2,500 to 3K day just off those 3 areas alone. Now, as to the end of or let's say the rest of the day, stock MULN and what's the other one? LTRY. These 2, unfortunately, were timing. MULN, I took about 30 minutes after the live stream, 30, maybe 40 minutes, doing a full breakdown of the loss because it was my biggest gain ever to, a red day. And I wanted to see what the the mistakes were, but again, the recap time is at after 4 p.m. So there's no reason, I don't want to beat myself up too much for that, but it's like at the end of the day, I could have just done this recap and posted for everyone rather than doing an MMU recap and this recap, right? So throughout me, like just going through the trades of the other stocks right after the live stream, I'm there just missing this thing. So by the time I come out of it and it's done, we're all the way up at like $15, and it's like it's just a little tough to try to like get super involved all the way up here because the recap took like 40 minutes because I was recording it actually. I was recording it till my computer actually ran out of space today, so I had to delete some videos. But that was, let's see, 138, 35 minutes. Yeah, that recap was 40 minutes because it cut out early. So from 40 minutes, and let's check the time, right? Let's see. It's not even, I don't think this is it. Yeah, this is, never mind. That's not it. Maybe the file has been, I don't even know. But anyhow, anyhow, there's a 40-minute recap. And when did we end the live stream? Like around, I don't know, somewhere around here, right? So it's like at the very beginning of this move. Let's check. Let's check to see my last trade on TraderView. 11:01. My last trade was at 11:01, and so we probably went for like 50 minutes, really, because again, I saw this thing all the way up here at like 15. And of course, this is not like an excuse, but it's just more so why I missed this move, right? So if I hit show trades, let's put on show trades here so you guys can see where I like saw it and like, eventually said, okay. So I missed this entire move up. I saw it on this resumption, but it's like I thought it was too late. And then I was talking to Big Steve. He's like, man, you know what? If it holds up this red to green here, maybe there's something. And so after it was halted up, I'm like, you know what? All right, let's get involved. Maybe there's something there. Let's give it a shot. So we really got involved here. You can see a lot more active trading in this range. Got up to $200 flat. Got up to $200, and went to down to being up 65. So if we're not really doing anything else and we see this move, I'm pretty sure, because the spreads were tight in this one, like right here is where I would have gotten involved once we got back over the highs. Coming over here, break up the highs in this area here is where I'd have been involved. So look at how smooth this was going up into this halt. And then again, we get a pullback. If I anticipate the pullback well, we see how, we could have done well here. We get into a bear flag. Initially, there's a bit of a false breakout, but then back over high of day, which comes along over here. There's more entries for me. And then there's a bit of a baby pullback in here. And then again into a halt, dip, rip, dip, rip. And the day where I'm up 9K, the day where I was up 9K is the same exact type of day. But we trade a little bit better. We avoid those losses. We're already very greedy on the other stocks. We don't do anything else because we understand the market is hot. We keep trading. And before you know it, this stock comes, we make another 3K. And then the other stock comes, you make another 3K. Look at this one, right? And again, look at where I'm getting involved. This time I'm up. You can't make this stuff up. I'm uploading my content to YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all the other platforms. Quick editing and like uploading to those platforms. And it's like, you can't make this stuff up. And you can see it's like fairly, this one is now around 1 p.m. It's like it started off with lighter volume, but then volume got in here after this halt up, right? Right here from 116. From 116, volume got in 200K shares. It's holding up its levels. It makes a new high up to 293, halts, resumes higher. This right here, if I'm watching this early, look at where my first trade came. It's like, and I told myself, hey, don't even touch this. But then when I saw how good the resumption was, I tried to take an attempt. Ended up getting flat trades. I'm in, out, scratch essentially. But it's like, dude, this is where I needed to be trading this thing to the 200% move, not the, flat area, right? The issue I've been having with myself is that I'm too good to be messing up like this, right? Like for someone who's very capable, at times I'm very inconsistent. And so, the number one thing to do is to not be frustrated, not be living in the past, but look forward to a better future and a better tomorrow. Because I do have the power to control, my availability and my performance, right? And so it's difficult to trade. Yes, trading is hard, but it can be done, and I've been doing it. And so, it's that percentage better. Right now we're at a 94. We got to get to a 96, maintain 96 and higher. That small percentage difference there is what's going to lead to today being 10K day. It's that simple. That's the difference. Because I see it so clearly. It's so crazy because it's so tangible. Again, that last 9K day is the same type of thing. It's the same type of thing. It just comes down to that consistency, being accurate in the moment, and boom. And then once we get better at that, we can knock out more bigger green days more regularly, and then we'll size up more. And before you know it, 30K days coming soon, baby. You know, just like how I went from green $50 a day to these days. Watch next year that I'm gonna go from these days to the days that I'm talking about. Mark my words. Guaranteed coming soon. Ladies and gentlemen, hit that thumbs up. Once again, and if you're watching to this point, you can type down below gold chain, right? Type down below gold chain. Let me know you made it to this point in the video. This is a pretty good recap. Yesterday we ranted and didn't do anything in the recap, so today we had to make up for it. So hit that thumbs up, subscribe. I feel good mentally. I'll be back tomorrow for another beautiful day. Stay safe, stay green.